Does Nick Robertson's holdout give Easton Cowan an inside shot to make the Leafs roster at training camp? We'll discuss that and more on today's edition of the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome into the Locked On Leafs podcast, a daily Maple Leaf-centric podcast hosted by myself, Mike DiStefano, and my co-host, Dave Morassutti. Today's show brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. For us, Canadian viewers, DAZN is who owns the Sunday Ticket package up here in Canada, and boy, did I ever utilize that package today. So if you can get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket down south, utilize it, people. Just put a little $5 wager down. You can even do it on the Monday night game tonight, Jets and 49ers. Going to be a great one. What's going on, Dave? How you feeling on a Monday?
Feeling pretty good. It's I don't know where the heck we just went from like August to October with the weather.
It feels like it, right? Like the weather you're talking, right?
Yeah.
Like it was a little chilly today. Like I was outside, I was getting my steps in, and I was out there doing some errands around downtown, went to the grocery store or whatnot. And I'm like, it's kind of chilly, like almost like we're getting into hockey season, which is right around the corner at this point anyway.
I was playing my band was playing an outdoor event, and they had one of those canopies set up for us.
Yeah.
It was so windy, the canopy blew and took like speakers and instruments with it.
Wow. Yeah. There's speakers. Those things are heavy. Like how
we had a couple like ones on the ground. Oh, it was so bad. These were like little ones that they had set up for some other stuff, and yeah, I know it was bad.
I didn't catch the wind. I mean, I was out there before football started. Is when I did most of my walking around. I guess is when I was outside. Then come noon, I didn't go anywhere. Pretty much, I was watching football all day long. Anyways, enough about football. Let's get to some hockey talk. And it's interesting. I was actually just looking, and I saw that Mark Masters, TSN Leafs reporter, was speaking with a guy named Trevor Williamson recently. And Trevor Williamson is a notable person because he is the Knights head strength and conditioning coach. He's also the director at Elite Performance and Injury Center in London. And he is somebody who has been working out with Easton Cowan, really, obviously, all throughout his junior career, but even still to this day, he's been training him. And they were speaking just on how Easton Cowan and how his summer has went. And apparently, things are looking pretty good for Easton Cowan. He's put on a little bit of size, but has not suffered any lack of speed or mobility or anything like that. So that's what you love to hear if you're a Maple Leafs fan and you got a guy like Easton Cowan, who a lot of people want to see succeed this year and get a real shot, a real look this year. And the one question mark that everyone has is the size going to translate? According to a strength and conditioning coach, who, all right, you could, for being honest, probably a little biased, but does believe that this guy might be ready. He's put on some good weight. He's put on some muscle. He's gotten stronger. Hey, we might get to see Easton Cowan a little sooner than we anticipated.
I mean, he got a chance for his first training camp last year, I'm sure this summer there was a little bit more of a plan for what he needed to do this time around to make himself more of an option, I think, than last year. I mean, last year, I don't think, he was there till the end, but I don't think we realistically expected him to make the team. This time around, you look at the roster, and eventually we're going to see this training camp roster. They're going to start hearing it a lot more this year, I think.
Well, it's super thin on the left side. I mean, especially you look at Nick Robertson, if he continues to hold out and he doesn't report to camp and they don't figure out a contract situation, that's one less person that Easton Cowan's going to have to compete with. And that was probably like one of the guys who he's competing most with. Like, I feel like Bobby McMahon and I feel like, Matthew Nyes, they've got roster spots locked up. It was kind of like Easton Cowan. Can he figure out a way to beat Nick Robertson for one of those final spots? And without Nick Robertson, it's like there's a spot there in the top 9 if they want to give this kid a look. I always believed that maybe he would get a 9-gamer anyways. But I think if Nick Robertson's not there, it just makes too much sense to net. Like, there's a hole in the lineup. I mean, give this young kid a chance if that's the case. No.
I think so. This is why you have to trust your drafting and development, right? To bring these guys into the lineup, right? And whenever they talk about, oh, how are they going to afford to pay this guy more, right? Or how are they going to be able to build a roster around X amount of players making over, $10 million. This is how you do it. You bring in your younger players. We call them cheap players because, yes, on paper they're cheap,
Yes.
but also very talented, right? They're not your typical fourth liners that you're just hoping you can get a little 9 minutes out of, right? Now, I'm not expecting Easton Cowan to come in and play 18 minutes a night, but I'm expecting him to come in and try to have an impact.
Yeah.
Whatever way he can.
Yeah, and that's all you're gonna have to. That's all you can ask of like a young 20-year-old player who's undersized for the NHL. But I mean, we've seen size become less and less of a deterrent for guys coming into the NHL. I mean, we see it all the time. And actually, when asked, Mark Masters, he asked this Trevor Williamson guy, who he reminds him of in the NHL. You want to know the name that he gave that actually feels like a really good comp for I was gonna say Jared Cowan, not Jared Cowan.
I hope that wasn't the guy you're thinking of.
No, wasn't Jared Cowan, former Maple Leaf legend. For Easton Cowan, the comp he gave Travis Konechny. So if he can, grow into the Travis Konechny kind of player, the Leafs got themselves something. And why not give him a shot and see how he adapts, right? Like, they did it with Fraser Minton a year ago, and through 4 games they realized, okay, he's not ready, but at least they gave him an opportunity. Do the same thing with Easton Cowan. If he's not ready, cool, send him back down to the minors, send him back down to junior, let him go tear it up at the OHL for another season. But if he shows something in that 9-game sample size, well, now you got someone who you believe could be a top 9 player for you, and maybe he's even a little bit better than you anticipated. Think of a guy like Wyatt Johnston. He was 1 year removed from his draft year when he popped onto the scene and made the team for the Dallas Stars. Like, could Easton Cowan, be a similar mold? Could he also kind of pop onto the scene, unexpectedly as a late first round pick, someone who just had a crazy development curve from, drafting till the following season or 2 years later? It's very possible. Just needs to get the opportunity. And personally, I think he has it now, especially if Nick Robertson does not report. There really is just like a perfect spot sitting there for him, third line left wing, for him just to pop in and possibly start on the ground running here with the big boys.
Yeah, and look, you brought up the Stars. Like, that's a team I think the Leafs should be trying to model themselves after, right? And trying
They brought in who'd they bring in? Their director.
They brought in one of their scouting like pretty much their new scouting director was one of like their
head scouts almost.
Yeah. He helped run their draft, right? Like, I think there's a realization that too many picks, right, the last few years have either been, a lot have been traded away, but like, you look at the guys who have been selected, not around, right? I look at guys like Travis Dermott, Rasmus Sandin. Like, these are players that you draft that you're hoping could potentially. Now, Travis Dermott did play. I'm not saying he didn't play at all, but like, they didn't provide the value that they brought with those picks that they made with them, right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, I think, where if you're looking at why it hasn't really worked out in Toronto, a lot of things, not getting these picks to work out, I think has played a big factor in it.
Oh, for sure. They haven't been able to fill out the depth of their roster with these, with these draft picks, and a lack of draft picks. Also, like just less dart throws, is a big reason for that as well. But would be nice to see a couple of these players kind of come through. Matthew Nyes has been a nice draft pick. He was a second rounder a couple of years back. Played really well last year. I expect another big jump this season, and maybe we can get another youthful Energizer Bunny type of piece in Easton Cowan in the lineup this year for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So we'll see. I'd imagine I know for a fact he'll be with the team in camp, and I would imagine, is it this week or next week that the Leafs have that little prospect tournament with the Montreal Canadiens?
It's next weekend. So actually this, as we're talking, so this coming weekend.
Yeah, so this coming weekend, yeah. So we'll get another chance to see, how if Trevor Williamson was blowing smoke, talking up his London Knight player, or if this guy really has put on a little bit more size and muscle and really just strength in general. Can he fend guys off a little bit more, which is the big question mark on Easton Cowan. So you won't quite see that as much, I guess, in a prospect tournament where guys are typically younger, but certainly we'll get a chance the next few weeks once training camp opens up and we see him in these preseason games coming up throughout the next few weeks. All right. That we'll put a bow on that conversation. But something else that we talked about, I think it was literally on the last show, I think like last Friday, is we discussed, we haven't heard anything about PWHL nicknames. Like how do we not have these nicknames yet? What are they waiting on? Turns out the nicknames are coming. Let's talk about it on the other side. And it's Monday, so we got another blind ranking. That's also coming up next here on the Locked On Leafs podcast. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. We got something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season game Sunday afternoon, out-of-market game. All you're going to need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. And if that's not enough, FanDuel also has something special for our listeners this weekend. Be sure to check out FanDuel's Profit Boost in the app and use it for FanDuel's Double Your Winnings for all Sundays. Pre-game moneyline bets and the Profit Boost will also be starting up on Friday. So view your account page now to learn more about those boosts, but visit FanDuel.com. Download America's #1 sportsbook. Welcome into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DiStefano, Dave Morassutti with you. It's the final week where we're in off-season mode. I'd say that with quotations for those who are listening on the podcast. As we're 3 shows a week throughout the off-season. So we got one today for you, got another one on Wednesday and one on Friday. And then starting next week, we're back to full go, buddy. Back to 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. So you're not going to want to miss a moment of Leafs coverage. We'll bring it all to you all season long here in the Locked On Leafs podcast. Find it wherever you get your podcasts and also up on YouTube. All right. We were kind of talking about this the other day, the PWHL waiting a very long time to announce nicknames for their teams. And we were talking about like Toronto, like how don't they have a team name yet? And turns out they are coming, Dave, possibly as early as today. We could hear an announcement.
Yeah. So we have every PWHL team was putting out like something is coming, or like something, basically teasing something that was going to happen on September 9th. Then the PWHL announced that on breakfast television for those in Canada and also Good Morning America that there's going to be an announcement. Now, some of you may have already heard the announcement by the time you listen to this podcast, depending on what time you're listening. So essentially it was being reported that the names and logos for the teams were actually going to drop. And literally this was starting to be teased. I think it was the day after we recorded. Like it was like that.
we recorded Thursday night, and then like Friday afternoon, I think is when stuff started. Friday morning, actually, I think is when stuff kind of started to happen. Like all of the PWHL teams like changed their Twitter avatars to or X avatars, profile pictures to just like the PWHL symbol as opposed to like what their symbol was. So things kind of started to happen last Friday. But yeah, sounds like by today, possibly the information's already out there. Do we was there any leaks about what things could look like? I
I
mean,
was just about to pop that up. The biggest one for me has to be Toronto.
okay,
So so every team has been putting out like something is coming, right? And Toronto did this. So the tweet said almost ready to rule. Let me get a little bigger here. Almost ready to rule the rink. And then you got
interesting.
it's obviously I think it's like a Queen Elizabeth the First is I think what a lot of people are saying. So it's essentially
So is it gonna be like a royal
theme.
theme to the nickname, like the Toronto Royals, maybe?
Yeah, so like I saw some of the people in the comments saying like, "Oh, does this mean it's gonna be the Toronto Royals as the team name?" And I was like, I wouldn't hate that. Seems like a pretty solid, better name than like the Toronto Torch, like
Yeah,
that one that was being talked about before.
yeah, that's true. I would prefer the Toronto Royals. Is that not a is that a, they're a baseball team, the Toronto Royals? That's how I don't know why that like feels like a fall like is coming off the tongue because I feel like it's
I think it's a minor hockey team actually. Is the Toronto
maybe
Royals?
just feels like I've said it
I
before.
think like a triple and people. I've seen them in like minor league, like GTHL, a GTHL team called the
Mhm.
Royals. Some people who might actually have coached the team or played against the team, maybe you guys know. I'm pretty sure I've seen it like as I've been to like a couple GTHL rings. I've seen that jersey hanging
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
Um,
Sounds familiar. Like it's been around, but hey, I mean, I'm happy that they're. I think it's a good timing to be doing it. Like you want to do it before the NHL gets going, right? You don't want to bury the lead. You let the week one of the NFL kind of happen, right? So you didn't do it on Friday. You didn't do it, over the weekend. You're waiting until Monday, and then that could be your day, right? The hockey world will be very much paying attention to what's going on at the PWHL, and you can, a good way to start marketing the league and the upcoming season. So love it. We'll see what it ends up being, though. I'm
uh,
sure we'll talk about it on Wednesday's show.
well, the one also I found interesting, Montreal, they tweeted
Mhm.
this out. It says soon, and it's a
What
bridge.
bridge is that?
I actually
Any idea? Is that like a bridge in Montreal?
I'm not as I'm wondering. I don't know if that I don't know like what the bridges are in Montreal. I don't know if that's the Jacques Cartier Bridge.
They
It
can't
kind
be
of looks like that
but
one.
like there's no chance of like the Montreal bridges.
I kind of hope not.
Is that the Trois Rivières?
It could be.
Could it be the
Uh,
Montreal Rivières or something? I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. I do like that they're trying to spawn some names out of this.
But it you know, it's engaging for fans, right? Allows
Fair.
them to guess like, "Oh, what does that mean?" Like, I mean, we're doing it right now, realistically, based off that. So, it's good marketing, I guess, because it gets people talking, about, the speculation of, "Okay, what's it gonna be?" And then you'll tune in on Monday to actually find out if you were right and find out what the actual name is. So, we'll be doing that for sure. So at some point today, this information will be verified, and we'll have nicknames and logos and jerseys in the PWHL. So we'll see, and we'll reconvene and talk about them once they're announced on Wednesday. All right, let's take a break. Let's come back on the other side. Let's get to our blind ranking. It's NHL goalies edition. Dave's got to give me a ranking. So that's coming up next here in the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DiStefano and Dave Morassutti with you as always. And we're pretty much finishing up the blind ranking series. I guess we could call it a series that we were doing throughout the offseason. We went through, Leafs forwards, Leafs defense, coaches. We went through goaltenders, and now we're filtering through all NHL, branched out into NHL forwards, NHL goalies, or NHL defensemen, and we're finally finishing off the series now with NHL goaltenders on the last off-season Monday of the podcast. So this time it's Dave who has to give me 7 goaltenders. He's got a list of 7 goalies. I don't know who the goalies are, but I have to blindly rank them from best to worst, and we'll see how I do. So let's get this thing underway. Dave, give me the first name.
All right, first name. He is a member of the now Utah Hockey Club, Connor Ingram.
Ooh, low key, I like Connor Ingram. He had a good year last year too. But so I just need to figure out how many good goalies are you going to have on here and how many scrubs are you going to have on here. Because I think that he's a pretty good goalie. And I don't know if you're going to have a lot of
He went 23, 21, and 3, 291 goals against, .907 save percentage.
Yeah, but his goals saved above expectation was so high. Like there was a time last year he was in the hunt for the Vezina. I'm not even joking, Dave. He was like a top 5 consideration at one point for the Vezina. I'm gonna put him at 3. It's gonna shock you. It's going to shock you. But 2 things. I personally, maybe I'm overhyping him. I think Connor Ingram is a good goalie, and I also am banking on the fact that you don't have a lot of bona fide starters on your list. So that's my reasoning for going with number 3. Maybe it could have went number 4. Oh, maybe I do go number 4. I'm gonna keep him at 3. I'm gonna keep him at 3.
I mean, look, he's a good goalie. Didn't pan out when he was in Tampa, but he found something when he was in Nashville. I think he showed a little bit, but then with Arizona is kind of where I think he's gonna.
He had one playoff game in Nashville where he was unbelievable. Yeah. Like he was so good that one game. Like he had 50-something saves, and Colorado. I was against Colorado the year that they won the cup, and they ended up in Arizona. And I mean, he ended up outplaying Karel Vejmelka. He kind of became their number 1 or 1A at the very least.
Yeah. All right. I mean, if this is a Leafs show, I have to have a Leafs goalie on here. Let's go with Joseph Woll.
This is where you're gonna get me in trouble with the people. You're gonna get me in trouble with the people. I should have known you were gonna bring in Joseph Woll, and that's I should have put Connor Ingram at 4. I gotta put Joe Woll at 4. And look, sample size is part of it. I still don't know what Joseph Woll is. When he's healthy, he's been good. But I will have to assume you have 2 goalies better than Woll on your list. So I got to keep, 2 spots open. So I'm going to put him at number 4.
All right. Next on the list, Adin Hill.
I've got to rank him too high, don't I? Adin Hill. Adin Hill didn't have that good of a year last year, and he was also injured. But he did win a Stanley Cup, and he was pretty good for them. And for I mean, he might be the starting goaltender for Canada if they end up for the Four Nations Cup. It's like him, Skinner. Binnington would probably be the number 1, but he's in the conversation. Oh, how many more good goalies are you going to have on your ranking? That's what I need to decide. I hate that I put Ingram at number 3 so bad. I got to put him at number 2.
Okay.
Oh, I hate that so much.
All right. Next on the list, I'll give you a little bit of relief here. Sam Montembeault.
That's not relief at all. That is not relief at all. These are all Like Hill, Wool, Montembeau are all like kind of in the same range here. So like I guess I got to put him at 5 because I'm
Okay.
obviously not going to put him ahead of Aiden Hill. But like Sam Montembeau played really well for Montreal last year. I don't know how many people realized the season that he had, but like in the back half of the year, he really started to put it together. So now that Jake Allen's gone, it's kind of his net. Sam Montembeau's a pretty good goalie. I don't think he's better than Joseph Woll. I don't think he's better than Aiden Hill or Connor Ingram. So I do like him slotted here at number 5, but he's not a slouch. Like this Sam Montembeau is turning into a starting goaltender in the NHL.
I do think he's a goalie that because he's played on Montreal, it's like one of those like a goalie that's pretty decent but playing in a place that not going to get a lot of support. Montreal is one of those teams, so we'll see when there's a little more pressure on him to perform. Let's see how he does. That's how I feel like goalies like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jake Ottinger.
Yeah, well, he's clearly going in at number 1. That is, he has to go in at number 1, and like I know you have goalies that are going to be in his range probably, which is like I regretted Connor Ingram the second you said Joe Wall. Realistically, I knew I had him too high on this list. But Jake Onger's an unbelievable goaltender. Like he's such a young, talented goalie. Well, he's kind of like mid-20s now. He's not like that young anymore. But Jake Onger's a beast for the Dallas Stars. He is like a true number 1. He'll get you 50, 55 games a year and win most of them. You can win games 2-1, 3-2 with Jake Onger in net. So yeah, I got to put him at number 1 because he's the best goalie out of everyone that you've said so far. I'm not putting him at number 6. So,
and we talk about Team Canada's, like who are they going to play? In the States, like they got so many to choose from.
Oh my god! Like the States, like whoever they cut, like whoever doesn't make the team, probably could start for Canada. Like you think about it, like you got Connor Hellebuck, you've got Thatcher Demko, you've got Jake Ottinger. Like there's got to be another American goalie that's just like I'm not thinking of right now. Like John Gibson's kind of washed at this point. He's kind of behind him, but like all 3 of those goalies would be Canada's number 1. Like you're gonna have a guy sitting up at a press box. Let's say it's Thatcher Demko or Jake Ottinger, who definitely would be the clear-cut starter for Canada at the Four Nations Cup. It's wild.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and like that's where I'm like concerned about Canada's future in net. It just really is not much to go with.
Y'all are.
All right, next on the list, Tristan Jarry.
Cool. I'm good with actually Tristan Jarry coming in at number 6 here.
Okay.
Maybe what actually I think I'm good with this. Yeah, I'm good with Jarry at 6. Now give me like Shesterkin or Vasilevsky or whoever you have is the best goalie at number that I'm going to be forced to put at number 7 because I know for a fact you have it.
All right, last on the list, it is not a Russian goaltender. Not that mean. It's Jeremy Swayman.
There's the other American goaltender.
Yeah,
when I'm like, there's another American
goaltender. I tried very hard not to say Swayman's name.
Swayman, like you got Swayman, Ottinger, Demko, Hellebuck. One of those guys aren't going to make the team, and they would 1,000% be the starter for Canada. Oh, that's so.
Now
upsetting.
there was something that came out about Jeremy Swayman a few days ago on 32 Thoughts.
Okay,
that the Bruins had a long-term deal on the table, but Swayman didn't agree to sign it. Like, pretty much rejected it. An 8-year deal was on the table,
but just because it was not enough money, I'm assuming.
It was apparently, as Friedman said, it was in the 6s. It was still in the $6 million range, and that's nowhere close. So I think on Spin Chicklets, Whitney
Swayman's
was saying
about he wants like 8, right?
He wants like the McAvoy number.
My problem is I'm like the guy. Like, I think he is good. Don't get me wrong. I know he's good. It's not. I know he's a really talented and good goaltender. It's just like goalies play 50 games a year, not 82. Like that's always my issue with paying goalies so much money. You're not 82 games those we get 50. And yeah, when I see other star goal like how could he possibly make more than Connor Hellebuck? Didn't Hellebuck just sign for like eight and change?
He did. He signed like pretty much 8.
Like
Not
last summer.
Yeah, he signed last summer. I'm just trying to remember the exact.
Yeah,
He signed 8.5.
8.5. Like you
Like
shouldn't really be touching up on that if you're Jeremy Swayman. Like
the only thing
he's been in
Swayman has
a
going from is age. He's younger than Hellebuck, but
sure, but
he's not.
he's been in a tandem for the last 3 years. Like this is the first year he's even going to be the starter and be the guy and have, the stresses of being the number one. Like yes, he played a bulk of the games and he turned into the de facto 1A, but he still has been in a tandem. Now that he's the number one, like I'm surprised Boston actually gave them an 8-year deal, or maybe that's them banking. Like, okay, we do believe he could be that, but like I'd probably rather kind of see one more year and see like, okay, is this kid like I don't know though. If he's only got one season until he's a UFA, then that is kind of tough to do. But if I just would like to see what he looks like now that he's the clear cut number one guy before I give him an 8-year term. That's all.
Yeah,
But I do think he's a really talented goaltender. So
well, yeah. I mean, I think Leafs fans know quite well how good Jeremy Swayman is.
yeah. So here's my list. Oh God. Jake Ottinger, Aiden Hill, Connor Ingram, Joseph Wall, Sam Montembeault, and Tristan Jarry. What do you think is the correct list, Dave? What's the
I have
correct?
Jake. I think you're right on Jake Ottinger 1. I probably put Swayman at 2. This is where it gets a little interesting. I probably have Aiden Hill 3, but like
the
that's
rest
just because
of the guys are all very similar. Like
that's kind of why I did the list.
Big cluster. Like, so it's not actually terrible. Realistically, if I just took Swayman and bumped him up to 2 and just kicked everyone down a peg, it might be pretty decent.
Yeah,
I think I probably would switch Ingram and okay, here's what I think I would do. I think Ottinger, Swayman, Hill, Wall, Ingram, Montembeault, Jarry. Yeah. I think that would be the correct list.
I think Jarry at the bottom is pretty much the guarantee.
Yeah. Unless because Montembeault and Ingram are good goalies. Like if you're not watching, out of market games, like those two are good goalies. They may not be household names like Jarry kind of was, but they played better last year at the very least. But yeah. All right. Good stuff, Dave. A lot of fun. Love doing those. It was fun doing those over the summer. I'm sure we'll at times do them throughout the season, but that kind of puts a close to the off season blind rankings. We've now kind of gone through all of the different themes. I don't know what the right word is there. Groupings, whatever word you want to use. All right, it's getting late for us, buddy. Let's shut the mill. That'll do it for us here today on the podcast. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all platforms to receive daily Leafs content. Follow myself on X at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at D_Morassutti, and follow the show as well at Locked On Leafs. We'll be back with another episode for y'all on Wednesday. Until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.